Good afternoon, dear students. Since many of you faced much difficulty in accessing to the YouTube live class that I took yesterday, that's why I've decided to discuss the things that I discussed in my live class again in the format that we earlier followed, that is the PowerPoint presentation video. Okay, so in today's class, I'm going to again discuss the things that we discussed in my last class. That means in my last yesterday's live class. Okay, so in my previous class, PowerPoint video class, there we discussed two paragraphs. And in those two paragraphs, we have come to know about different delicacies, different food items prepared for the bihu, Magh bihu. And one such preparation was curry or mahkorai. And what is mahkari or mahkorai? It is a combination of roasted rice, black gram, sesame, and piece of ginger. And when offered for serving, it is smeared with oil. Then another delicacy is tekeli pitha, then sunga pitha. Then in Upper Assam we have sunga saul. Okay. And then on the day of Magh bihu, on the day of domahi or Sankranti, people they don't eat rice and curry as their lunch. Instead of that, they used to consume sira, curd, etc. And in the evening, what happened? They used to eat rice, sometimes new rice, as well as they used to eat curry of black gram and fried yam. তাৰমানে মাটিমাহৰ দাইল আৰু কাঠআলু fry কৰি পেলাই খায়. And then the author said that there is a custom. What is the custom? The custom is that the leftover rice has been soaked in water, and next day morning the Assamese people used to eat that rice. And that is, in Assamese language, it is called poita bhat. Okay, and the author thinks that probably this custom of eating soaked leftover rice is the influence, it is an influence of the tribal tradition or tribal habit of drinking rice beer. So we discussed up to this part. Then in today's class, we are going to discuss three paragraphs. Out of these three paragraphs, in first two paragraphs, we are going to discuss about how the Kosaris, one of the indigenous tribe of Assam, one of the largest tribe of Assam with many varieties, celebrate Magh bihu. And also in the last paragraph, we are going to discuss about the different sports items or sports held in Magh bihu. Okay. In paragraph number 8, the author describes how the Kosaris celebrate Magh bihu. Here it is said that the Kosari is the most numerous tribe of Assam. Numerous means, here it means with many varieties, have similar custom, though these differ in certain features. So the author here first of all said that Kosaris, it is one of the numerous tribe of Assam. That means it has many varieties. For example, in Lower Assam, the Boros, the Boros are a branch of Kosaris. Then in Upper Assam, we have the Sonwal Kosaris, Deuris, etc., etc. So these are the different branches of Kosari tribe. So it is a huge tribe with many branches, with many varieties. And the Kosaris also celebrate Magh bihu. And their celebration of Magh bihu in many aspects are similar to the rituals of the other Assamese people. But in some aspects, their rituals are different from the other people of Assam or other tribes of Assam. Here the author says they also tie cords around fruit-bearing trees. So the first similarity is that the Kosaris, like other people of Assam, in Magh bihu, they tie cord around the fruit-bearing trees. Earlier we come to know that the other Assamese people also used to do that. So this is the similarity. Then in the next point, there is a similarity, but that similarity is a slight similarity because there is variation, there is difference in this custom. What is that? They offer rice to the flying, the sinking, and the moving. That is to birds, to fishes, and to animals like dogs and pigs. Now, in this custom, there is similarity. What is the similarity? Earlier you come to know Assamese people on the day of Bihu also, early morning, they used to tie cords around the trees and also offer rice to the dogs. But the Kosaris, they not only offer rice to the dogs, they offer rice to what? They offer rice to the flying, sinking, and the moving. Here, flying refers to the birds. Then sinking refers to the fish, and moving refers to pigs and dogs. That means they offer rice not only to the dogs, the Kosaris offer rice to the birds, to the fishes, as well as to the pigs. Okay, so in this custom, there is slight similarity. Okay, but difference is also here in this particular custom. Then we come across another difference between the Kosaris celebration of Magh bihu and the celebration of Magh bihu by the other people of Assam. And these are the indigenous rituals of the Kosaris. তেওঁলোকৰ নিজৰ ritual হয়. What is that? The first one is that further on the domahi day, they put a mark of water mixed with cow dung around the granary. So on the day of Bihu, on the domahi day, what the Kosaris do? The Kosaris, they mix cow dung with water and they put a mark with that water around the granaries. পানীত গোবৰ মিলাই লয় আৰু সেইখিনিৰে তেওঁলোকৰ গ্ৰেনাৰী যিটো ধানৰ ভঁৰাল সেই ভঁৰালটোৰ চাৰিওফালে চিন দি দিয়ে মাৰ্ক কৰি দিয়ে so this is one indigenous ritual of the Kosaris. Then there is one more indigenous ritual of the Kosaris. What is that? On the 7th day of Magh bihu, 6th Magh, they again clean the utensil, sacrifice fowl to Bihu, their god, and go out carol singing, collecting eatables. And they call this custom magon or begging. This part is very important for question. So here it is said that on the 7th day of Magh bihu, that means on the 6th Magh. Okay, on 6th Magh, what the Kosaris do, they again clean their utensils. The other Assamese people only clean their utensils on the day of Magh bihu, but the Kosaris again clean them on the 6th day of Magh. And then what they do? Then after that they offer fowl to their god Bihu. Now let me explain who is Bihu. Now Bihu, here ba means 5 and tho means deep, and in Bodo language Bihu means 5 principles. And what are these 5 principles or 5 elements of Bihu? They are air, fire, earth, water, and ether or sky. So these are the 5 elements, and Bihu represents these 5 elements, and they believe that Bihu, their god, created these 5 elements: air, fire, earth, water, and ether or the sky. And these are the fundamental elements. We are associated with these elements all the times during our lifetime. And by worshipping Bihu, the Kosaris actually worship these 5 elements which are essential for our life process. And what they do to Bihu on the 6th day of Magh, they offer fowl to the god Bihu. তেওঁলোকে কুকুৰা বলি দিয়ে বাথৌক পূজা কৰিবৰ বাবে। And after that, they go out singing carol from one household to another household. And by singing carol, carol means a song of joy. Amar janeke husori gai. Okay, like it is like husori that we perform in Bohag Bihu. Okay, the kosaris on the seventh day of Magh Bihu, or on 6th Magh, they go for carol singing, and then they collect eatables. And this tradition of collecting eatables by singing carol is known as magon or begging. A question earlier came in the examination that what is magon or begging? Then your answer will be on the 6th day of Magh, or on the 7th day of Magh Bihu, the kosaris, they offer fowl to their chief god Batho, and after that they go out carol singing from one house to another household, and they collect eatable. And this tradition of singing carol and collecting eatable is known as magon or begging. I think it is clear to you. This paragraph is clear to you. In this paragraph, we have come across what? We have come across some of the traditions or the rituals that the kosaris follow during the Magh Bihu, and in these rituals there are some similarities with the Assamese people, like tying up the cord around the fruit bearing trees, but there are dissimilarities. What are dissimilarities? That the other Assamese people only offer rice to the dogs, but the kosaris offer rice to the flying, sinking and moving. Secondly, on the day of domahi, the kosari people, what they do, they mix cow dung with water and put a mark around the granary. And another ritual that is different from the other Assamese people is that on the 7th day of Magh Bihu, that means on 6th Magh, what they do, on 6th Magh, they first of all clean their utensil. After that, they offer fowl to their god Batho, and after that they go out singing carol from house to house, and in that way they collect eatable. And that tradition of collecting eatable by singing carol is known as magon or begging. Clear? So let us proceed to the next paragraph, paragraph number 9. Okay, in paragraph number 9, the author again refers to another tradition of the kosaris that they follow in Magh Bihu. What is that? Another point to note is that kosaris consider the construction of velaghors, bilagur in their pronunciation, and setting fire to them to be the special prerogative. Prerogative means a hereditary right of cowherd boys. Now what happened? That kosaris, they also construct mezi and velaghors, and in their language they call it bilagur. Okay, in their pronunciation it is bilagur, and they believe that it is the right, eto adhikar hoy, tamane right of the cowherds. Cowherd means a person who herd or looks after cattle, mane goru rokhiya. Okay, so it is the right of the cowherd to set fire to the velaghor. And here comes the difference, that generally in the other among the other people of Assam, among the other Assamese people, what happened? They generally the elderly person of the society used to set fire to the mezi and velaghor. But the kosaris, what they do? The kosaris, they believe that it is the right of the cowherd to set fire to the velaghor and the mezi. And then it is said, the boys burn the velaghor before dawn, before the crows come out of their nest, and they set fire to the velaghor early in the morning. At the break of the dawn, they set fire to the velaghors. The leading cowherd, while setting fire to the velaghor in a village, starts a prayer in this manner. So the leader of the cowherd generally set fire to the velaghor, and while setting fire to the velaghor, they used to chant a prayer. The leader used to chant a prayer. What is the prayer? glory, 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 glory to our village. So the leader of the cowherd used to pray for the glory of their village. In the recitation, he is accompanied by the other boys. Then the other cowherds, other boys also accompany the leader of the cowherd in the prayer. He prays that disease may not visit their village, that their village may be filled with paddy and riches, that their cattle may be large and strong like the rhinoceros and elephant, and that those person who had beaten them, even though the cattle in their charge had not eaten up the person's paddy, may suffer for long and much. Glory, 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 glory to their village. So this is the prayer of the cowherds while setting fire to the Magh and Velagors. What they pray? First of all, they pray for the glory of their village. And after that, they pray that disease may not visit their village. Then next, they pray that their village should be filled with riches and their granary should be filled with paddy. তেওঁলোকৰ গাঁওখন যাতে ধন সম্পত্তিৰে ভৰি পৰে, তেওঁলোকৰ ভঁৰালবোৰ যাতে শস্যৰে ভৰি পৰে, that their cattle may be large and strong like the rhinoceros and the elephant. They also pray that their cattle should be as large as an elephant or a rhinoceros, এটা গঁড়ৰ সমান ডাঙৰ বা এটা হাতীৰ সমান ডাঙৰ যেন সিহঁতৰ জীৱ-জন্তুবোৰ গৰুবোৰ হৈ পৰে. And finally they pray that the person who had beaten their cattle, even if the cattle did not eat the paddy of that person, then what will happen? Then the person should suffer for long. This is the prayer of the cowherds while setting fire to the Velagor and Magh. Now, here again we have seen a difference between the Kosaris and the other Assamese people. So, although let me make one thing clear, that although I am here saying that Kosaris and other Assamese people, but the thing is that although Kosari is a tribe, they belong to a tribe, but after all, the Kosaris are also Assamese people. Okay, that point I want to mention here. But here by other Assamese people, I am referring to the non-Kosari Assamese people. So the Kosaris and the non-Kosari Assamese peoples celebrating Bihu, there are differences. Another difference is that in the case of non-Kosari Assamese people, other Assamese people, generally the elderly person of the village used to set fire to the Magh and Velagors. But the Kosaris believe that it is the right of the cowherd to set fire to the Velagor. It is clear, I think. Now let us come to the last paragraph for today. So in paragraph number 5, this is important from the point of view of examination. We will come across different types of sports events held in Magh Bihu. So here the author says, one interesting feature of this Bihu is the holding of sports like wrestling, remember this, racing, jumping, buffalo fighting, egg fighting. So the author says that another characteristic feature of this Bihu, of Magh Bihu, is holding of sports. Different sport or events are organized. For example, wrestlings are organized in different places, racing is organized, then jumping, different types of jumping like high jump, long jump events are organized. Then buffalo fighting, all of you know, probably many of you have witnessed in your life also buffalo fighting. Then egg fighting, generally actually in Upper Assam, we used to engage ourselves in this particular event, egg fighting in the Bohag Bihu, but in Lower Assam, in Magh Bihu also, people are engaged in egg fighting. So these are the different types of sports events, and apart from these, other sports events are also organized. For example, many of you know about another famous fighting of Assam that is held in Magh Bihu. Do you know that in Lower Assam? That is the Bulbuli birds fight, Bulbuli Sorar Zoos. Kot hoy eto tumalke jana na, in which place it is organized? It is organized in Hazu. Okay, in Hazu, Bulbuli fight is organized. But many of you probably know that for last few years, the Supreme Court of India has ordered one thing, that we should not engage in any animal in any fight. So that is why in many places during the Magh Bihu, Bulbuli fight and buffalo fight has been abandoned. But anyway, these are the traditional sports that are sports events that are organized. And one more thing I think you know, that the organizing of these particular sports event actually started during the Ahom rule, because the Ahom kings, they constructed that Ronghor, and from Ronghor the king used to enjoy these events, sports events. And one more fact I want to mention, that Ronghor is the largest and the oldest amphitheater. Amphitheater means open theater of Asia. In Roman civilization, in Italy, there are so many amphitheaters. Similarly, in Greek civilization also, in Greece also, there are many amphitheaters. And in Assam, we have the Ronghor, that is an amphitheater, and it is the oldest and the largest amphitheater of Asia. This is an added information I have just provided here, that is not important from the point of view of examination. So anyway, then the author also says here, from weeks ahead, young people used to make camps on the dry river banks and exercise themselves in the art which were found necessary. Sorry, I skipped one line. In the earlier times, more martial games like sword playing and javelin throwing were customary. So in the ancient times, some martial arts or martial games were also played. For example, javelin throwing, sword playing, etc., etc. And then the author said that from weeks ahead, young people used to make camps on dry river banks and exercise themselves in the art which are found necessary to defend the land from aggressors. So the author says that in the ancient time, the young people, they used to set camp in the river banks prior to many weeks prior to the Magh Bihu, and they exercise those martial arts there, because in older times, in the ancient times, it is believed that those martial arts are important for the young people. Why? To protect their land from the aggressors, from the invaders. So that is why those martial arts were also included in the in the sports event held in Magh Bihu. But in modern times, we have wrestling, racing, jumping, buffalo fighting, egg fighting, etc. So earlier, most probably last year, a question came that what were the sports events organized in Magh Bihu. So then you have to write that wrestling, racing, jumping, buffalo fighting, egg fighting, etc. But you have to also add that in ancient time, some martial sports were also played, like sword fighting and javelin throwing. So I think these three paragraphs are clear to you. Now I am going to give you a few questions. Okay. So, I'm going to discuss the answers of the questions in the next slide. Okay. So, question number 1 is, describe briefly how the Kosaris celebrate the Magh Bihu. In brief, you have to write. So, you have to write that the Kosaris celebrate Magh Bihu like the other Assamese people, but there are some differences. First of all, you have to write that the Kosaris, they tie cords around the fruit-bearing trees and offer rice to the flying, sinking, and moving. Then on the other hand, on the day of domahi, they put a mark around the granary with water mixed with cow dung. And then on the 6th Magh, on the 7th day of Magh Bihu, what they do? They clean their utensil, and on the other hand, they offer fowl to their chief god Batho, and then they go out carol singing, collect edibles, and this is called Magon. And then also you have to write briefly that moreover, the cowherd they used to construct the velagors or bilagurs, because it is believed that it is the custom, it is the hereditary right of the cowherds to build velagors and set fire to them, and while setting fire to the velagors, the cowherds, they pray for the glory of their village. These are the things you have to write. No need to write about in details about the prayer, because you are going to write the answer for only 2 marks. Then briefly describe the custom magon associated with Kosaris? I think you will be able to write the answer. How is Velagars burned as per the custom of Kosaris? So you have to write here that the Kosaris, they believe that it is the hereditary right of the cowherds to to construct and set fire to the Velagars, and they set fire. The cowherds set fire to the Velagars early in the morning at the break of the dawn, and they used to set fire by praying for the glory of the village. Then what do the cowherd boys pray for for while setting fire to the Velagars? There you have to write that first of all they pray for the glory of their village. After that they pray that diseases should not visit their village. Then they pray that their village should be filled with rices and their granary should be filled with paddy. Then on the other hand, they pray that their cattle should be as large as an elephant or a rhinoceros. And finally, they pray that the person who had beaten their cattle, even if their cattle had not eaten the paddy of that person, should suffer for long. Then last one is give an account of various sports related to Magh. This question earlier came in the examination, and the answer is that in Magh Bihu, different sports events are organized. The different sports events are wrestling, racing, jumping, buffalo fighting, egg fighting, etc. Then add that in ancient time, some martial sports were also organized, like sword playing and javelin throwing. So these are the important questions from the 3 paragraphs that we discussed today. Only 2 paragraphs left. In my next class, I am going to discuss those paragraphs, because in those 2 paragraphs, the author discusses about another bihu which is of less importance, and all of you know that less important bihu, that is Kati bihu. So the author in the last part of the lesson refers to Kati bihu, and we will discuss that part in my next class. So I think everything is now clear to all of you, because there was a lot of confusion after the live class that I took yesterday. So I think all those confusions are clear to all of you now. But still, if you find any problem, any difficulty in understanding the things that I discussed today, then feel free to contact me. Okay, so thank you and have a nice day.